So today I want to talk about an auto rifle that has completely shocked me in value, that being the Kinetic Giver's Blessing 720 auto rifle. This is one of 6 weapons a part of the Kepler arsenal, and it might be one of the most powerful auto rifles you can chase at the moment. So we will go into detail on why I love this auto rifle so much and why I say that, but before I do, just want to say if you enjoy the content and want more from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I do drop more content. With that out the way, let's talk about all the perks you can get on Giver's Blessing. So here on screen is going to be all the perks you can get on Giver's Blessing. We are labeling it so you guys can follow, and of course reading it right to left. Now all the way to the right is the origin trait exhaustive research. This is not a very good origin trait on pretty much anything so far I've used, so we won't really talk about it. I highly doubt you guys will ever notice it or use it. Now next to the origin trait over in column 4 we have Adagio, Kinetic Tremors, One for All, Zen Moment, Adrenaline Junkie, High Ground, and Multi Kill Clip. Next to that in column 3 we have Moving Target, Transcendent Moment, Impromptu Ammunition, Rewind Rounds, Demolitionist, Shoot the Loot, and Feeding Frenzy. And for magazines we have Extended Mag, Alloy Magazine, Appended Mag, Armor Piercing Rounds, High Caliber Rounds, Ricochet Rounds, Flared Magwell, and Light Mag. So to be fair, overall this is going to be a good perk pool, but I do think it is a bit However, the frame itself as a 720 auto is arguably the best PvE frame for auto rifles in the game. So let's take some time to look at the spreadsheets. Now this is a quantum damage sheet from Xbox user. A link to that will be down below, as well as their Ko-Fi if you want to support them directly. So among legendary frames, Rapid Fire is going to be the best DPS auto, and it's not even close. So on true DPS, which is the DPS without reloading in mind, or in simple terms, the maximum DPS expected, this number, as you see, is sitting at 276, 16 higher than the closest frame of adaptive, which is 600, and the support frames, which is also 600 RPM. Things get even better on sustained DPS, which keeps reloading in mind, or in simple terms, is the minimum DPS expected. This is going to be sitting at 242. And when you compare that to the other ones, it's sitting 21 or 20 higher than your adaptive or support frame auto rifles. This just makes it the best frame for autos in PvE on DPS alone. And most of the time, this means that the margins to make this weapon awesome in the sandbox is going to be fairly easy. So while the perk pool may leave something to be desired, it has some perks that just truly make it wild. So when it comes to the God Rolls, we have a few options you truly want. So with barrels, Arrowhead Break is going to be my personal favorite here. This helps the recoil direction massively with a plus 30 in recoil. This will be taking its base 57 recoil stat to a 87, which is going to help us land more consistent shots. Also, it has a plus 10 handling, which is, I guess, nice here. Now, since ideally, like I mentioned before, that 57 recoil is not ideal, Chambered Compensator is another fine alternative. This will give you a plus 10 recoil and plus 10 stability. Just know it has a -5 handling stat for it, so yeah. Other barrels besides this are fine, just not as helpful in my opinion. For magazines, our top option will be Alloy Magazine. While reload isn't going to be a total problem, having the fastest potential reload with Alloy Magazine is always welcome. Now, if you don't want a faster reload and you want a little bit more mags and maybe not having a knock on reload speed, Appended Mag is another solid option. This takes our base rounds of 46 in the mag and kicking up to 53 in the mag. And of course, this can go higher with some backup mods. The enhanced backup mod for higher tiers is also a thing. So just keep that in mind depending on when you're watching this and depending on what tier of this weapon you have. Also, Armor Piercing Rounds is a fine alternative as well if you don't get Alloy Magazine. A little bit of flinching and staggering and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, but it is nice. Now, for column 3, Rewind Rounds is the clear #1 option here, increasing that sustained damage is always great, especially when a weapon like this hits fairly hard compared to other frames. Rewind will pretty much always be my #1 pick on primaries, and this is not going to be changing on Giver's Blessing. It's #1 here. So real quick with this perk, upon entering the magazine, refill 60% of the number of hits landed, now this is rounded up, into the magazine from reserves. Hits are counted from either your last reload or the last time this perk was triggered. Does not require direct hits, which is going to help with the column 4 perk. This requires firing 28.75% of the magazine capacity for refills to activate, and this cannot load the magazine beyond its space capacity. Hits after triggering a refill do not count while rewind rounds buff is going to be active. This is around 1 second. It's a simple and awesome perk, and as long as you hit your shots, like, it's really important to mention, you got to hit your shots in order to utilize this perk. Now for alternatives in column 3, Demolitionist is going to be nice, especially if you're using something with grenade builds and things like that. It helps the regen with 10% grenade ability energy per kill, which is nice. And also the new perk, Impromptu Ammunition. Final blows increase ammo meter progress from all sources for a short time. I don't know the exact number of its buff, but if ammo generation is an issue you care about and you want to address, this perk is going to potentially help in that field better. Again, I've used it a little bit. I've felt like ammo was a little bit better, but at the same time, things are a little bit weird. It's hard to tell, and again, Bungie is going to obviously probably tune ammo generation in the future. So as we slide over to column 4, honestly, there's going to be no alternatives here. You should be chasing Kinetic Tremors. Now, this is a perk in the past that has always been hit or miss depending on the frame, but one of those faster RPM weapons has never been a problem for this perk. It's always stood out. So if you don't know, in simple terms, sustained kinetic damage to a target emits a shockwave that damages any nearby targets. Now for auto rifles, you will need 12 hits, and each shockwave deals up to 90 damage in a 5-meter radius, give or take. Shockwaves deal 33% more damage when activated on mini bosses or higher tier PvE combatants, which is going to be helpful on some of that higher tier content you may be playing in the portal or other things, and you will be getting 3 shockwaves being emitted when you proc it. This is a very solid perk that, well, is a must have on any Giver's Blessing God Roll. You can have other options in other columns. I think we highlighted that pretty clear here, but Kinetic Tremors is a must have, and in column 4, in my opinion, there is no alternatives here. Now, before we wrap up, I just want to compare this weapon to other rapid fire frame autos we have seen in the past. So base stats, Giver's Blessing fairly holds up pretty good compared to other options, except for all the way at the end with Rufus Fury. This Strand 720 auto has rewind as well, and arguably a better perk pool depending on your needs. So while it doesn't have Kinetic Tremors because it's a Strand weapon, it does have something like Paracausal Affinity, which is a perk I love dearly and offers great loadout synergy, great subclass synergy, and also just a damage buff, which is fairly good. On top of that, it's Strand, so it will have some of those Strand subclass verbs that you don't get on a kinetic damage weapon because, well, it's kinetic. It's not tied to any energy verb. The main thing difference here that will be saving Giver's Blessing compared to this weapon, however, is going to be the tier system. A crafted Rufus Fury or an adept Rufus Fury that has enhanced perks just won't be able to get higher tiers compared to Giver's Blessing. Tier 3, Tier 4, and Tier 5 offers more enhanced perks, and in the case of higher tiers, you're going to get access to some wild weapon mods that you can equip in the mod section. So that's going to be a blessing for Giver's Blessing, no pun intended. Also, new gear bonus tag isn't a complete needle mover, but when you are in higher content, you will ideally want to min-max your damage resistance, your weapon damage, and the artifact will be having some of that new gear bonus tag. And since this has a blue tag on it, when you look at the logo, that means it's a new gear, meaning it helps with that min-maxing DPS stuff. Again, stuff like that just won't really matter in most content, but if you're doing some of that higher end stuff, it will matter. You do want to min-max and things like that. But again, I just want to put that out there. Besides that, this is a phenomenal weapon, and one I think many of you will want to chase. It's easy to use and has one of the best combos a auto can have with rewind and kinetic tremors. But that's the video. Curious on what you have to say on this weapon, so if you want, feel free to drop a comment down below with your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, also drop this video a like, helps out the video a ton. And if you want more videos like this, be sure you hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I do drop more content. Thank you for watching as always. Until next time, ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.